I wanna take a ride. I wanna take a ride. Whoa, I'm singing, whoa. Whoa, slow down. Slow down your chariot. Let me ride. I wanna see my Jesus. I wanna see my Jesus. Whoa, I'm singing, whoa. Whoa, slow down your chariot. To let me ride. 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 Let me ride.
And we're back to another special edition of Cruise Chronicles. That is Audrey Dub over there adding her 2 cents. We are here at one of our coolest local, excuse me there, Dirk, the coolest local bike shop here in North Carolina. Can you introduce yourself for our people?
My name is Dirk Newsom.
Dirk is the owner of this bike shop. Dirk, how long have you owned your own bike shop?
Since January of 2001.
Wow. Wow. Okay, and what I want to know is, before you became an owner, how long were you riding and what, you know?
Since I think I had my first kind of pseudo motorcycle. It was like a little, it was a little bicycle, and you pushed a button and it had a motor noise on it. I think I got pictures of me having one of those when I was 4. Had my first mini bike when I was 5, and I had my first little dirt bike when I was 6.
What up, MC family? This your girl Icy, representing Shifting Gears Magazine in them Extreme Street Riders. And you know where I'll be at.
Let's get it, homeboy. Y'all already know what it is, man. This ain't nothing new to y'all, man. TIP Pimp Squad Click, you understand that?
Come and kick it with me for a minute, you know what I'm saying?
Come
and ride with your boy, man.
Hey!
Y'all already know what it is.
West side of the A-Town, nigga. You don't know no better, niggas. Zone 1 through.
We gon' swing by Sister Road, you know what I'm saying? We gon' ride down Bankhead, my nigga. Come ride with a nigga right quick, alright? Hey, come and ride with me, nigga. Let me show you where we kick it at.
And what made you want to do, like, custom bikes, like choppers?
I mean, I'm just a nut over this stuff. Motorcycles and boats, pretty much, outside of my babies and my wife, you know, and all those most important things,
right.
My relationship with Christ. Outside of those things, my priorities are in line, but
right.
Motorcycles and boats just consume me. I'm just I'm a freak about it. I love them, man. The choppers I love, the sport bikes I love. I can have just as much fun riding around a $60,000 Bourget chopper as I can a GSX-R 1000 with a fat tire kit on it, with everything on it chromed out, with a custom paint. I love all of it. I love putting it together. I love selling it. I love marketing it. I enjoy being around it.
And this is what I want to know for some people that don't know, you know, what is the difference between a chopper and a Harley and like a Honda? Some people that don't know. I mean,
man, those are hard. Those are pretty intricate questions to answer. You know, a chopper has a rise in the frame,
right.
So that the neck of the frame on a regular bike, which they call a pro street bike, might be right here. And a chopper neck might be up here. So when you're raising the neck up, technically, it turns into a chopper. What's the difference between a Harley and these bikes? Harleys are good bikes.
Yeah.
I can't say anything bad about a Harley, but they are mass-produced. You know, what happens oftentimes with Harleys is people have a vision of trying to be some kind of a, to some degree, a little bit of a rebel, or they don't want to conform, and they go buy Harley, and they go to a bike show or a bike event, and they see all these other millions of Harleys, and they kind of sit back and go, you know, here I am trying not to conform a little bit, and here I am with all these other Harleys, and I'm conforming.
Hello, my name is Paris Love, and you are watching C-Square Media. Thank you for stopping by, and remember, support your own. Go out there and get that book, Skeletons, The Sea to the Bone. What's up, Carolina Dimes?
Okay, and I have one other question about okay, like I want to ride a bike.
Okay.
And like I told you, I've already picked out my bike.
Okay.
And We were looking at the numbers, and one had said 650.
That's the CCs, which is cubic centimeters, the engine size.
The engine size.
All of your most of your metric bikes will be called, like 600s. So you'll hear people say CBR 600 or Gixxer 600.
Yeah.
That's the CC size, the size of the motor.
Right.
And then they go from 600s to 750s to 1000s.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean the physical bike is bigger, but the displacement of the motor and the power is bigger. So that's, you'll hear Gixxer 1000 or Busas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Busas are 1300.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. A lot of people say that that's the best one, one of the best bikes.
It is. They got a brand new 08 model coming out that we've been expecting for about 5 years, and I keep putting this off. It's got 1,340 cc's, and it's supposed to have 195 horsepower, and it'll be the fastest production motorcycle the world has ever seen.
Let me ask you this. Do you sell more bikes at a certain time of the year?
Well, we always will sell, someplace, just call it between 100 and 120 bikes, somewhere in that range. But what happens is in the winter months, call it October-ish, November, December through there, it tends to skew more towards ATVs and dirt bikes and skew less towards street bikes. But this time of year, it skews heavier street bikes than it does ATVs and dirt bikes.
Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
What would you say, are you getting more women interested in buying bikes these days?
Yes, but not as much as we'd like to see. I wish that we could get more women involved. If more women were involved, like guys are involved, this dealership would have to be 4 times the size for us to be able to stock enough motorcycles to feed the marketplace.
Right.
I would say at this point in time, 90% of our buyers are guys. 10%, and 10% might be a strong number. But let's just call it 10% are women buyers. Now, I will say, if a guy's married, the woman's involved 90% of the time in that 80% of those deals.
Do you all, build bikes here yourselves?
No, we don't. We've done that in the past at one of our other stores. And for all the time it takes to do it, all the trial and error and going through the whole process, you have so much time involved in it. Parts aren't cheap.
Right.
And it gets pretty expensive. For me to build a bike equivalent to some of these $30,000 bikes over here, we'd probably have to sell it for $40 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just don't make sense. And then if I'm building it myself, and a lot of custom builders are having these issues. You have issues getting insurance because insurance companies don't want to insure them. Because how do you know the guy has any skills at all when he's putting it together? He might not have any idea what he's doing, and just for a hobby, he thinks he's going to go build a bike. And then he sells it to somebody who's riding it down the highway, and the bike falls apart on him, and the guy's got 3 kids and a wife and a mortgage. It just don't make sense.
Right.
But these bikes, they have manufacturer's guarantees on them. You can insure them. The states are comfortable with them. They have to go through, a lot of testing for the state to be able to allow these companies to put a manufacturer's stamp on them.
And what is, out of all of them, what is the best seller?
I knew you were going to ask me that question.
What is the best seller?
Our best seller, and it kind of changes from store to store, depending on what the culture of the store is. We definitely have a street bike culture. We sell ATVs and dirt bikes. Right. But we emphasize the sport bikes a little bit more, and I think that's because a lot of the guys that are here drive sport bikes, and we're sport bike nuts. I would say our GSXR line is real hot and heavy, our sport bikes with our Suzukis, and our CBR lineup, which is the Honda sport bikes, the 600s and 1000s, and the Kawasaki sport bikes, the ZX6s, and the ZX10s and 14s. So the general answer to your question is our high-performance sport bikes. Those are our best-selling products.
Really?
I would say 30s, 40s, and 50s is probably the primary chopper age. Okay. You don't find too many young guys buying those bikes because they're 30,000. They start at 25 grand and go all the way up to 60.
Wow.
Yeah.